Congresswoman Lauren Boebert tends to have a little bit of difficulty with things like logic. So we thought we would help her out here a little bit with how she responded to a shooting that took place in a country where shootings don't happen often, Denmark, and how she exploited that tragedy to make a point about how we should further loosen gun laws here in the United States, where gun violence is so commonplace that you really can't go to any celebrations without having in the back of your mind the fear that someone might open fire. Now, I want to talk about what happened in Denmark before getting to Lauren Boebert's comments about it. It all happened over the weekend when a 22-year-old gunman opened fire and killed 3 people in Copenhagen. And the shooting happened at the Field Shopping Mall. The shooter was a 22-year-old Danish man, and he shot people randomly. It's unclear what his motive was when he opened fire, but 24 people were injured. As I mentioned, 3 were killed. The deceased victims include a 17-year-old Danish girl, a 17-year-old Danish boy, and a 47-year-old Russian man who was living in Denmark. Now, the shooter had a history of mental health issues and had contact with the psychiatric health system in Denmark, and he was armed with both a rifle and a knife. Shortly before the shooting, he had uploaded videos on social media where he simulated suicide with the rifle and a gun, and he also said that a specific type of psychiatric medication he was on was not working. The firearms he used during the shooting were posed in the videos, but they were not owned by him. They were not his guns. The authorities believe that they were legally owned by a person living in the same home as the shooter. Now, in response to that, Lauren Boebert decided to take to Twitter to say, quote, "There was just a mass shooting in Denmark, a country with some of the strictest gun laws in Europe. It's time to admit that gun laws do not stop mass shootings." Now, that is a stupid comment if you just take a moment to do a comparison between a country like Denmark and its gun violence versus the United States and its gun violence, especially with its laxed gun laws. Public Citizen responded to Boebert saying Denmark had 3 mass shootings in the last 28 years. The United States had 17 mass shootings in the last 5 days. The difference is quite clear. So this talking point from right-wingers really does blow my mind, because if you want to consider that logic, okay, well then apply it to every other law. We shouldn't even bother with drunk driving laws, because there are still going to be people who are undeterred from drunk driving, and they're going to take to the streets while under the influence of drugs or alcohol or both, and they're going to risk their lives and the lives of others in doing so. So why even bother with drunk driving laws? No, the laws significantly minimize the number of occurrences. In this case, we're talking about mass shootings. Again, in Denmark, just by volume, they have far less mass shootings than we have here in the United States, where again, it's been a common occurrence.
Yeah, so there's 2 definitions of mass shootings that are most popularly used. One is 4 people get shot. Another is that 4 people die, okay? So get shot and get killed. And so if you go by the stricter definition of 4 people being actually killed, what happened in Denmark is not even a mass shooting by American standards. So Boebert's like, can you believe they had a mass shooting? No, we have so many mass shootings that we have a higher standard. By that standard, in the same period of time that Public Citizen's talking about, that 28 years, Denmark didn't really have 3 mass shootings. They didn't really qualify on a couple of those. We, on the other hand, had about 560 mass shootings in the same time period. That's from the stricter definition, at least 4 dead, massacre. In the time that Denmark maybe had 3, but not really, we had 560 massacres. Let alone, if you count, by the way, the looser definition that Denmark is using, we have 1 a day. And you know what that comes out to over the same time period? Over 10,000 mass shootings in America, 3 in Denmark.
It almost seems like stricter gun laws translates to less mass shootings. Am I getting that correctly, or is Lauren Boebert somehow way smarter than everyone else?
Yeah, no, it's not a matter of smart or not smart. It's just a matter of facts. And so there is no question, it's not an opinion. America has an order of magnitude higher mass shootings than every other developed nation, every other nation, period. What is it correlated to? It is correlated exactly to the number of guns that we own. It isn't about the number of video games or rap songs or movies, which the whole world gets. They play a lot of video games in Japan. There's rap music everywhere.
Every country has mental health issues.
Every country has the same amount of mental health issues. So the only difference is guns. It's super obvious, except to the people who want the guns and who don't mind the massacres.
But look, weapons manufacturers, with their profit motive in mind, are donating huge sums of money to politicians like Lauren Boebert. So on one hand, she will look you in the eye and lie to you while claiming that banning abortion is important, controlling women's bodies, having the government control women's bodies is super important because she's pro-life, except for when it comes to those pesky guns, because money talks. And as long as she's collecting that cash from weapons manufacturers, she's gonna continue, honestly, just embarrassing herself. Okay, no self-respect, lying to the American people about how no, lax gun laws make all the sense in the world, even though there's endless data showing how our lax gun laws translate to more gun-related deaths. In fact, let's do more comparisons between the United States and Denmark. I looked at some data from gunpolicy.org. They do comparisons of various countries and their gun laws. And if you look at this graph, it'll show you the number of gun deaths per 100,000 people in Denmark, okay? That's per capita. And if you look at it, it shows that the number fluctuates a little bit, but it's within the 2-person range, okay? All right, now let's look at the United States, okay? Where, yeah, wow, that's significantly higher. If you look at 2019, for instance, more than 12 deaths per 100,000 people in the United States. So are you really gonna compare the two countries and pretend as though the United States is like, we're better off? There's no, I mean, look, they have strict gun laws in Denmark and it's made no difference, except it has made a difference, a significant difference in regard to the number of people who die every year as a result of gun-related deaths, gun-related causes.
Look, it's not just Boebert, it's her voters. They just re-elected her. We covered the primary the other night. She won easily by over 30 points. Remember, this is the American psycho that put out the Christmas card with all of her family, including her kids, including her young kids, holding high-powered assault rifles. Because, I mean, look, if you saw that in any other country, it doesn't have to be a politician. If that's just a regular person, they send out Christmas cards like that. The police are gonna come and talk to them and say, are you okay? Are you giving loaded weapons to your kids? Are you a danger to the community? And they will likely not only take away the guns, but they might take away your kids because you're a literal psycho. And in America, she got easily reelected.
Yeah.
Republican voters are like, oh, you're arming your 9-year-olds with weapons. So I don't know the exact age of the kids in that picture. But your teenagers, etc. And there's nonstop massacres all around us, and you're promoting it and encouraging it. Great, we love it, okay? So we're the only honest show that's telling you the core of the problem is the Republican voters themselves. Everyone else is afraid to tell you what the reality is.